Now, I begun to hypothesize, and I draw conclusions, and I don't make much sense sometimes. And that's something I come to realize. And at this point in time, this is one of them situations where maybe I am the wrong. Maybe I'm crazy. But with the abnormal temperatures of the last 2 days, I've come to hypothesize, and hypothesize is a good word because it keeps me out of saying the word believe, because I don't know that if it's true. I don't know that it is true. So if I hypothesize, that means that I have a belief, but it doesn't mean that it doesn't make it factual. It means that I have a thought, but that don't mean that I fucking believe it. If I can hypothesize, I can stick to reality, and I can have it in between. I can think hypothetically and paranoid as I may be about situations that may occur. Unrelated as they may be, as all of this may come to be, and all this that I may say, it may be unrelated as all. But with that being said, I'm come to hypothesize based on some situations that I've had to deal with in the last 2 days. Situation number 1, the weather. The weather has been abnormally warm on a level that is unheard of for a December day. And it's been this way randomly for the last couple months, randomly. Like, it's been super warm for this year. And I've had situations where I've come, my friend, I think that there's a weather machine. I don't think there's a weather machine. I don't think that there's necessarily a weather machine in the sense of turning a damn knob and get yourself a thunderstorm. Well, you might be able to get yourself a thunderstorm, depending on where you direct it. But you can't get yourself a snowstorm, and you can't get yourself this. You might be able to get yourself tornadoes. It's a weather machine in the sense that it depends on what you're doing. It's got to be cold. There's got to be a cold front. There's got to be in the cold realm. The weather machine only works at certain points. You can make it summer super hot and make it drought, and you can do that. But in the wintertime, you can cause havoc. Like in the fall, we had an abnormally long or bad hurricane season. That's cold fronts dealing with where I'm about to go. Because it's supposed to be getting cold, and it was abnormally warm, and the mixture of the cold and the warm, from my understanding what weather is, makes hurricanes and shit like that, tornadoes and blah blah. So based on just a basic knowledge and assumption of what cold fronts and warm fronts do and what they could do, that's where we're going. And so with the warmth of the seasons and the hurricanes and what I believe to be how that stuff works, if there was if you had the ability to direct heat in certain areas, that you could manipulate the weather to a point that you could say cause hurricanes and thunderstorms or tornadoes or heat waves like we are experiencing. And how would you see? I believe it would be a lot easier to accomplish heat and to affect the global climate with a heat-based source, microwaves, a laser beam, just like any type of... heat would be a lot easier to accomplish than, say, cold. You'd have to block out the sun for that, You'd have to block out the sun for cold. With heat, you could just introduce more heat, like an engine or from heat microwaves from a satellite. That's where I'm going. That's why I think now. That's why I come. Some type of 5G isn't here in Southern Illinois, really. So I can't think that it's 5G or that. But I still believe the EMFs, those things affect lots of things, depending on where if you're in high traffic areas around here. But there's not like major 5G, and it can't attribute any of the fucking coincidences to a high 5G presence. So with that excluded out of the picture, I can't. The microwaves are a very plausible idea, and I don't know where all the effects of such a thing, could be placed, but I do know that here the temperatures have risen, and I like 3 days ago it was 30 degrees. Today it was 70. Yesterday it was 70. 3 days ago it was 30. Like 4 days ago it was in the deep. It was cold. Like, it was fucking cold. And then now it's a point above 70. And why? That shouldn't be obtainable after the temperatures that we hit. We should be stuck in those range. We shouldn't be able to go straight up like that, like like Biden did in Michigan or Biden did in Pennsylvania. We shouldn't be able to go straight up. That's me. That's my opinion. So, like I said, the microwave radiation. So now that we've come to that point, and we know, why I believe that a weather machine is possible, and how I think it operates. Like I said, hypothesize. I have no evidence, no factual based evidence. I have no, clear knowledge on anything that I speak on. I'm just dealing with what I'm just speaking on. So, with microwave radiation, assumedly that I have a basic knowledge of that, because I am not an expert on that either, and I have no evidence. But it would be like that's bad. I just know that's bad. I know that it probably fry, cook. I've seen what it does to a piece, a piece of pizza, or frozen food. I've seen what it does to what microwaves do to moisture, and things like that, and what they'll do to. What I assume that they, prior to this, what I assume that they would do to a person, I assume that it would cause a high. Maybe it would cause high heart rate. It definitely cause heat flash, warmth, some type of sensation. That's what I assume. It's people who would be sensitive to it. Older people with heart problems, most definitely. That's who I assume would deal with it, and other things too. So, but I didn't know that, I didn't assume that it would actually affect people, That's what I assume microwaves will do, but I don't think that this would be happening. So, being that I said that this is a hypothesis, and in any of these situations might be unrelated, and that they might be wrong. So, yesterday, the internet, my phone crashed. It did not work for 3 hours. And I was frustrated because I had great connection. Like, I had bars, but the internet would not work, and it was so frustrating for me because I don't do anything besides listen to fucking shit at work, and I don't have time to do anything else outside of work because I'm busy these last few days. So that's my time, and so I'm angry. I was angry about it. Like, it wouldn't work, and I was like, well, this is bullshit. And so I'm already drawing conclusions about the microwaves, and then the phone's not working, and I can't get it to work. And then when I do get it to work, it wouldn't really work at all, and it didn't start working until the sun went down, and then it started working good. It's just, whatever. Me being crazy. But also, another unrelated probably situation, in a couple of situations, I've had issues with my battery in the last couple of weeks. A bunch of them. Like, several. Enough to the point where I was concerned about my battery. I started carrying a jumper pack in my car, because I was actually concerned. I mean, I've had issues with my battery before, but not as many as I was having. Random things like my locks on my, they don't work, and they would jump. Like, there was an electric surge that went through my car that may cause my doors to lock automatically, which they don't do because my fucking button doesn't work, and it jumped. My battery was dead, not once but twice. Here recently, for no reason the first time. I don't know why it was dead the first time. Second time, I assume it was because it froze, because it was fucking cold. And I came out here like last weekend or something. It was fucking like 30 degrees out, and I figured I'll give that one the benefit of the doubt. That's just because it was cold. But yesterday there was a guy in the parking lot, and it was not cold. It was 70. So mind you that. Guy in the parking lot on my first break, and my phone's still not working, and other people's phones aren't working. I'm frustrated about this. And at this point in time, not only, but a couple machines had gone down for whatever electrical reasons. I don't know what that had to do with anything. But I'm assuming that being they were electrical, that there was something that had to have occurred. But that's an unrelated situation as well, I guess. But there's a guy in the parking lot on my first break, and his battery's dead. Oddly enough, why? Weird. I mean, that's not... Cars have these bunch of features in them to make sure that they don't die. That's built into them. They made sure of that, right? Why is this battery dead? This is random. This is not, so me, unrelated occurrence, I'm drawing more conclusions. Just certain things come to my, attention that I just, so I thought, that's weird. Day goes on, like I said, the internet for my phone, my phone, I had to just turn it off, turn it back on, and then it barely worked. And then dude I work with, he has security cameras at his house, and he was looking at his phone, and he wasn't able to access them because whatever reason, he wasn't able to access the security cameras at his house. Whatever, I don't know. That's an unrelated situation as well. Like I said, all these are unrelated. We can just add them up if we want. I've been adding them up. So like I said, the internet started working after sunset. Fine. Nothing to see here. But that's whatever. So as I'm going home, the second night in a row, I realized that the airfield is lit up. And it's like, that's odd. I mean, then I drew the conclusion that maybe it's just to do with Christmas and whatnot. Packages coming in through the plane and shit. That's a good possibility, right? I think that's a good possibility. I'm gonna go with that one. We're not gonna think anything about that one. But 2 nights in a row, the fucking airfield's lit up, and I thought that was weird. I think that is still weird. I don't know why. And my buddy said, "Oh, there's fucking emergency lane." He was like, "Dude, it's Southern Illinois. That's weird. It's COVID. This is weird. I mean, it's whatever. Who's coming in and out of the airport at fucking night?" It's whatever. I figured that one out. I assumed that it's fucking had to do with, obviously, the fucking, the packages for Christmas and shit. That makes sense. I believe that one. That one I'm not gonna jump off the walls off. But then there's this morning. I go to work, and I'm not at work for more than 30 minutes, possibly. I don't think I'm there for that long. And this older lady, she's probably about my dad's age, 50 or so. She's not like overly old. She's obese, but she's she's short and round. I mean, she's older, probably like 50 or so. Not much older than her mid 50s. She, like I said, she has issues. She has some type of problem with her heart. She has heat flash. She can't get her heart. She's freaking out. So she leaves. She leaves, and she's gone. She had to immediately leave. She didn't. It didn't come on. It was an onset. It wouldn't just something. It just boom. And then dipped. I at that point in time, I assumed as well that these are unrelated, but there's a possibility that they're related. So being who I am, I drew the conclusion that if there are microwave radiations, that possibly they could cause issues on people. Or it was just a foreshadowing of what was going to happen to me later this day. I assumed that too. I assumed, for me, I'm not above, or I'm not beyond, I don't know I assume, for me, there's 2 assumptions that I made. I made 2 assumptions. That, one, that there was the radiation from my assumption about the weather machine and the targeted radiation had caused her heart or caused her issues. Don't know if that's true. Don't know if it's unrelated. Blah blah. But also at that time I thought, man, well because I've had many scenarios, and I try to think about like when weird things happen. Is this a foreshadowing event for me, or something that's going to happen to someone around me? And of course, I'm not far fetched. These things, I believe, I get things like this all the time. I mean, it probably happens to everybody else, but they just don't fucking take care. Like they don't overanalyze everything that is around them as much as I do. So, by the time I had figured out, that these two things were together, or that they both may, actually coincide with one another. Maybe there's just me being nuts. It's after the fact. Here we are talking about it. So I thought about it, I'm thinking, maybe I'm just crazy, maybe I'm just, but I'm going to stick it in the back of my mind, put it in my hypothesis. That, then, I didn't think to research it, but I'm also at work and I didn't have the time. But, like, whew. Oh, man. And again today, it's super warm. And, like, I assume, again, that the heat targeted radiate, whatever. But it starts in the morning when the sun comes up, and it goes away when the sun goes down. It's not as bad at night. It's definitely, as the world turns, it's definitely as the world turns. So the other side of the world is probably dealing with this right now. I think this is a war. I think this is an attack. Like, I think this is China. This isn't bullshit. I'm not bullshitting anybody now. My dad doesn't have COVID. No COVID. None. He's in the hospital with heart problems. I saw that ambulance and this stuff. I'm not going to say that it's anything, but I'm going to assume that it is what it is. And I'm saying that all the things that I've just talked about are completely unrelated. None of it is related. None of it is related. I'm talking from my dad getting the heart problems and ended up in the hospital, to me seeing the cop and driving by that house and seeing the ambulance outside. Me assuming to know what's inside that ambulance, what happened in that house, and thinking that it's related to my situation. Like I said, none of this is related. None of this none of this makes sense. But to me, I've added it all up, and that was my deduction, that there's a weather machine. They use microwave radiation to warm up targeted areas. They use it on places like in the fall whenever it's very very hostile, the currents and stuff are, the cold fronts and stuff, and you get your hurricanes and your tornadoes and stuff. And then in the winter you can just make it stupid warm and have no snow and ruin my fucking birthday and my fucking Christmas. Like, they just heat the whole fucking thing up, and the fucking microwave radiation causing people to have problems with their heart and having issues. I mean, 3 people, or well, 2. I don't know about the one in the house, so we're just gonna have to forget about that one, unless we find something further out on that. But the other 2, definitely curious enough to ask questions about, and curious enough to plug them into your hypothesis about the microwave radiation and the weather and what microwave radiation would do to people, and the people that have actually had those symptoms. I mean, and then everything else that is involved with what's going on, or what you've actually witnessed. I mean, like I say, I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm just high, and I'm just drawing conclusions all of the time. I just fucking do this shit all the time. But I don't sit back and think that, oh, this is exactly what's going on, and I'm crazy. I mean, I think this way because nowadays I believe that anything is possible. Anything is, they're capable of, I believe they're capable of anything, and there's nothing that they won't do. So if it is a possibility, which I believe heating up is a possibility, and what the causes, like if we were to use microwave radiation to heat up an area to make heat, and what would happen to especially since I believe that we're at war with China, and that they're, everything is fair game with them, that maybe that this is a weird fucking way of fucking fighting war. Or maybe I'm just nuts, man. Maybe I'm just nuts.